It's a great pleasure to be here with you all. And it was my great privilege to have known E.F. Schumacher and worked with him. It is thanks to Schumacher that I am in the UK. I was here in 1973 on a lecture tour, and at that time Schumacher was one of the regular contributors and one of the editors of Resurgence magazine. But there was no one full-time taking responsibility of editorship. And so Schumacher said to me that why don't you, I heard that you are being asked to be the editor of Resurgence. Why aren't you taking it up? I said, I want to go back to India. He said, why? I said, I'm a Gandhian and I want to work with the Gandhian movement. So Schumacher said, but Satish, there are many Gandhians in India. We need one in England. So please stay and make Resurgence a Gandhian magazine. So Gandhian magazine means making magazine of peace, non-violence, ecology, organic farming, local economy, decentralization, all these wonderful values. He was very persuasive. And so I said to him that if I become the editor of Resurgence, will you contribute in every issue of the magazine? So he paused for a moment and then he said, all right, that's the deal. You become the editor and I'll contribute in every issue. So until he was alive, from 73 to 77, or 76, 77, he contributed in every issue of the magazine. And then we published all those articles together from Green Books called This I Believe. So Schumacher had a great influence on me and my thinking about soil, soul, and society. As you read in the description that many great movements in the world have encapsulated their vision, their commitment, their ideals in 3 words. So the French Revolution came up with the idea of Egalité, Liberté, Fraternité. That's a wonderful trinity, but for my taste, that's a very political, social trinity. Very good, but not holistic enough. It doesn't talk anything about our relationship with the natural world. And it doesn't talk anything about our relationship with ourselves, our inner landscape, inner dimension. Then we had Trinity of mind, body, spirit in the New Age. That's also a wonderful trinity, but again, not quite holistic. It talks about my mind, my body, my spirit. But what about the society? What about the natural world? So I would like to present these 3 words to encapsulate the new worldview, the new holistic paradigm that we want to bring about in this world. That holistic worldview and holistic paradigm has to have these 3 dimensions. And I put soil on the top. And so wonderful to follow Helen representing the Soil Association. And I had a great privilege of also meeting Lady Eve Balfour, who was the founder, or one of the founders, a great lady, who wrote a wonderful book called The Living Soil. If you have not come across that book, if you have not read it, I can recommend that book highly. That was one of my great inspiration in coining this trinity of soil, soul, society, to take that inspiration from Schumacher and from Lady Eve Balfour. So I put soil first because we have disconnected ourselves from the soil. The word human comes from word humus. And if you look in your dictionary, etymological dictionary, you will find that the word humus means soil. And from humus comes human. So we are soil. We are made of soil. We are the earth. And all the other elements, air, fire, water, are held by the soil, by the earth. If there is no soil, there is nothing. And the word human and humility comes from the soil. How wonderful the soil is, so humble that it always remains under your feet and never on your head. And so humble that whatever you do to it, what do we do to soil? We walk on it, we tread on it, we dig it, we plow it, we put concrete on it. We treat our mother soil very badly. And yet soil forgives. And so generous that you put one seed into the soil, say an apple seed, such a tiny, tiny seed which you can't eat, too bitter to eat. And when it comes in your mouth, you spit it out. But that seed, when it goes into the soil, and in relationship with the soil, the unity with the soil and the seed, produces that marvelous, wonderful apple tree in 5 years or 10 years' time, with those wonderful, glorious, delightful, colorful blossom from that seed, because of the soil. The soil has manifested itself into that tree. And then out of those blossoms come that fragrant, delicious, nurturing, nourishing, sweet apple. Not your computer apple. Real apple. Nowadays, we have forgotten our real apple. We are so obsessed with computer apple. When you say apple, have you got an apple? Don't think about apple, our boxes, or our delicious sweet apples, the English apples. And when you do get some apples, they are imported from somewhere, like golden delicious. They are neither golden nor delicious. Go back to our Somerset apple or Devon apple or our English apples. I'm an apple fan, not a computer apple. I have 15 trees of apples of different varieties. And autumn is coming. Come September, October, I will be making apple juice with my hand press, without any electricity, hand press, wooden and nice hand pressed apple. Those apple delicious. And if you have not drunk real apple juice from English apples made by yourself by your own hand, you don't know what apple juice is. It's a nectar. It's a real nectar. And so, soil is that juice. Soil is that apple, that mango, that banana, those wheat and flour you make bread with, and the rice, and everything. And our clothes that we are wearing, they come from that cotton, from the soil. And the wool which you are wearing comes from the soil, because all the time those sheep eating the grass from the soil. Everything is soil. Soil, my mother was a gardener and a farmer. Small farmer, not like Helen with 1,000 acres, but only 5 acres. But she loved the soil. I'm so fortunate to have met not only Schumacher, not only Lady Balfour, but my own mother. My mother was the great teacher for me. And she taught me that soil spirituality. For her, the soil was her religion. For her, the soil was her God. She did not think that God was somewhere behind the sky with a great big beard controlling and directing the world. The soil is the God. Soil is the God which nourishes everything and everybody. And therefore, our relationship with the natural world has to be put at the paramount stage, and I'm so delighted that at last the Catholic Church and the Pope has spoken. And the cyclical came yesterday, which is so wonderful, so radical, coming from an established Catholic Church. I think that cyclical should be read by every politician, every business leader, and not only them, but every environmentalist. Because lots of our environmentalists are very kind of materialistic environmentalists. They're a kind of pragmatic, utilitarian. We have to look after nature so because it's useful to humans. Services. They give us service. Humans, we have put at the top of the pinnacle. We think that humans are the best species, the most evolved species. We are in charge of the natural world. Somehow we are the rulers of the natural world. Soil is our servant. The forest our servant. The animals our servant. We can do what we like with these animals. We can put them in factory farms with such a cruelty, and in abattoirs in such a great cruelty. And so we humans have become so arrogant that we are no longer humans, because humans have to be humble. Humility and humus. Humans have to be associated and connected with the soil. If we are not connected with the soil, we don't respect the soil, we don't touch the soil, we don't walk the soil, how can we be humans? So humans have lost their humanity because we have lost our connection, our contact with the soil. Soil is soulful, soil is intelligent, soil is God, soil is a religion. Soil is not a dead soil, it's a living soil, Lady Eve Balfour. And therefore, we come back to soul. So as we start to respect and love and touch and feel and revere the soil, we go to our inner landscape and we understand those qualities of relationship, the qualities of generosity, the qualities of love and compassion, the quality of beauty and aesthetics, quality of caring and nurturing. Those are the soul qualities which cannot be measured by any science or technology, which cannot be explained by any rational and intellectual analysis. You have to feel those qualities. So unless our environmental movement, our Soil Association, our Friends of the Earth, our Greenpeace, our WWF, all the environmentalists embrace this spiritual dimension, the soul dimension, the quality of life, not what you can measure, but you cannot measure. Even the environmentalists are somehow sort of influenced by Cartesian dualism and a kind of materialism, that nothing exists unless it is the material. Nothing exists unless you can measure it. That's what Descartes said. What you cannot measure cannot exist, does not exist. And I said to Descartes, I wrote my book, Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. And I wrote in response to that, you are, therefore I am. There might be my book there. And so we have to, environmentalists have to embrace this quality of soul as an essential and integral part of the ecological renaissance. And I think that's where our environmental movement is missing out, becoming very materialistic. Of course, matter is wonderful. Matter is sacred. Without matter, without my body, I will not be here standing in front of you. But without the soul, without the spirit, without my heart, without my feelings, without my compassion, without my life, I'll be a dead body, only good for a coffin. And therefore, I want to invite all my environmentalists, rationalist environmentalists, to join me in this more holistic perspective of our being and our existence. And then our environmentalists become interested in the natural world, but they say, but when we are destroying our forests and our oceans and our soil, we don't have time for humans. I think social concerns are as essential and important as the environmental concern. And I think the Pope's encyclical brings those two together. The social justice and the ecological justice are two sides of the same coin. We cannot have millions of people going to bed without food, and on the other hand, other millions of people are suffering from obesity, and other millions of tons of food being wasted and thrown away into the landfill. So all part of the same problem. And therefore, I want to invite environmentalists to embrace social justice issues, and I want to invite our social movements to embrace the environmental issues, and I want to invite environmentalist movement and the social movement to embrace the spiritual issues. And that's a holistic, big picture, the new world view. And when I'm talking about spiritual dimension, when I'm talking about soul dimension, I don't mean any religion. I'm not talking about institutionalized, organized church or mosque or temples or gurus or any kind of dogmas or any kind of sect or any kind of narrow religious institutions. I'm talking about the religious experience, the spiritual experience of feeling, of heart, of love, of compassion, loving the earth, loving your neighbor, and loving yourself. That's the Trinity. Soil, soul, society is to love the soil, love yourself, and love your fellow human beings. And that's spirituality. So I think some of the environmentalists are waking up. I was delighted to read an article in The Guardian on Wednesday by George Monbiot. Wonderful article. If you have not read it, please look it up. How many minutes? 10 minutes. 10 minutes, okay.
And that is to include a bit of Q&A.
Okay, so if you have not read, please read George Monbiot's article. He's saying what I'm saying. He's waking up and saying that we have to go more than this utilitarian idea that nature is there for us. We have to develop this love of nature. And I think that is a very important dimension. And so soil, soul, society, this is a new trinity. I want to present it to our movement. And I want to say that by bringing these two together, we will be stronger. When you have only one single issue dimension, you think, if everybody became vegetarian, all problems will be solved. Or all nuclear disarmament, all problems will be solved. Or the global warming, climate change is the only issue, fossil fuel. All these are issues very important. But we have to see behind the scene. What is the cause of global warming and climate change? Unless we question the fundamental philosophy of our society, which is basically a materialistic philosophy. Unless we challenge and question that, and Schumacher Institute, and I started Schumacher College, we are saying Schumacher was the one economist who dared to put these two words together, Buddhist economics. If you read Small is Beautiful, there's a wonderful chapter in it, Buddhist economics. And his fellow economists asked, Mr. Schumacher, what Buddhism or spirituality or morality has to do with economics? And Schumacher said, economics without spiritual dimension is flower without fragrance. You can have flower, but no fragrance. When you put fragrance, the flower becomes more interesting, more powerful, more joyful. And there are many other things you can say. Words without meaning. You can have words without meaning. So you need those values which are implicit. They are there, but we have forgotten them. We have become so materialistic that we are only interested in what we can measure. And so I would say, and Resurgence magazine, which I'm representing today, and I'm delighted that this event is represented by many Schumacher Circle organizations like the Solar Association and Practical Action and Schumacher College. And so Resurgence magazine represents those three values. And every 2 months you can get that issue. If you are not a subscriber, I will urge you, now next year we are going to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Resurgence. 50 years it has been here, flourishing, blossoming, thanks to all of you who have supported Resurgence in one way or the other. So 50th anniversary of Resurgence, and I would like to make Resurgence a flagship publication of the entire environmental, social and spiritual movement. And I need your support and help to make the next 50th anniversary a big event, a good event, and make the magazine a big, important magazine, a flagship magazine for the whole country and whole world. Thank you very much.